Mrs. Mbonambi.
Yes.
You started out as a marketing person, right?
I did, hey.
And now you use light to paint. Give us an idea of how you got into photography. Where did the interest, or when was that moment in your life where you thought, pictures, stills, I would love to work with these?
Oh, let me give you the background story before we get to the photography itself. So, okay. I studied economics and econometrics at school, and I also did my postgrad in my honors in strategic management, right? I worked corporate industry for Mhlambi. How many years? Well, a few years anyway, but just before I got married, I knew in Doba I wanted to have lots of children, and I knew that I wanted to stay at home. Or let me say, to spend a lot of time with them. I just knew in Doba the corporate culture, corporate environment didn't have the kind of, wouldn't be flexible enough to kind of accommodate the kind of family life that I wanted. Okay. So I knew that I needed to work from home. And so it was, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for like the longest time. But at some point, I just got into e-photography. So e-photography is something that I've kind of appreciated. I've always appreciated like good photos. I've always looked at, and appreciated, like quality photos. But I never really thought I'd be a photographer. It was a hobby at some point. And then I think it really started when I got access to a DSLR.
Okay.
So my husband is part of a band, and so we'd gotten a camera to be able to capture all the moments of the band and whatnot. And so I started playing around a bit with that camera, and then just learning more and more about. And that's really how I got into photography. Like the more I took images, the more I really realized, you know what, I actually enjoy this. And so that's really how it started. And then so I'm like an avid researcher. So if I want to know about anything, I will like read books, YouTube and all of that. So I did that. I bought books, I took photos, I watched videos, I bought books, I researched on the internet. And so.
Which YouTubers do you follow who are into photography? Are there any specific people?
I don't really follow any.
But who would you say had the most influence? Is there a particular book on photography that you think, if it wasn't for this book, or if it wasn't for this YouTube channel, or if it wasn't for this advice, I wouldn't be where I am today? Or do you take credit like Snoop Dogg, you want to thank yourself?
No, not really. I mean, I wouldn't say that there is a particular resource. Like I read a lot of, stuff. So even if I'm trying to learn on like one particular subject, I will read up on a couple of resources. I will read about the same thing on a couple of resources. So I wouldn't say that there's this like one particular school or book. I read a lot when I'm trying to learn about something.
Can you remember your first paid photography job and what it meant to you? What was it?
Sure, my first paid. So this is how I started, I would get friends, because I didn't have my own like equipment. So I would say to friends, listen, I'd like to take photos of you and your family or whatever.
And you had already bought the DSLR?
Oh, then yes,
okay.
Yes. And then I'd say to them, listen, can I take photos? I'm not gonna charge you, but can you pay for my gear hire?
Okay.
So I did a few of those actually to just build my portfolio. My first gig, I think I remember my first wedding. Do I? Yes, I do. It was actually friends. It was actually friends who asked me to do. It was actually friends who asked me to do their wedding, which was like a big deal because I'd never shot a wedding before. But even with that, it was they just paid for the gear hire and and everything else. So it didn't feel that bad, like and they they'd seen my work. and I guess this friend of mine particularly believed in my work, and he was like, you know what, I think you're onto something here. Please come shoot, our wedding. And I was just like, oh, but
I mean, I've been following your career for a while now, your photography career, and one of the projects that you did, wedding projects that you did, that stands out for me. You did a shoot at Park Station. Do you remember that? Back in the day. You did a wedding photography shoot at Park Station.
Oh, it was a train station. It wasn't a Park Station, but it was a train station, yes.
I thought that was, like, that's when I realized, but, hey, talent.
And that was fun. Eh? So once in a while, you get clients that, want something that's a little bit out there. And then, you must hustle. I mean, it's not even legal to be on the train tracks, but, we had to hustle and ask, Dada Papa to be like, okay, can we, 2 minutes, don't worry, when we hear the train, we'll move. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it when my clients are creative, or when they actually give me space to be, to be creative. But it's also daunting because, not all creative ideas work out the way that you think they will. But I guess I kind of, want all my clients to have something unique. Okay. Not two of my clients to go through the albums and be like, it's just the same thing.
They're fine.
So yeah.
Another shoot that you did that really stood out for me is, I think it was a family shoot where you had Nkosikazi. Is it Kumkanikazi? Kumkanikazi with a big pair of headphones and a boombox. Those two just stood out for me. But I mean, what type of a photographer are you? Now, I like to take control. It's my word or nothing else. I need to be in control of the shoot. Wena, unjani?
So, I mean, I like I said, I like to think I enjoy creativity. But then, I mean, when it comes to what type of photographer I am, that direction. So ngoku I do mostly weddings and events. And obviously for into like umchato, everyone, like the client has an idea. Usually maybe they have an idea of what kind of images they're looking for, but a lot of the times they come to me because the kind of images that I take are what they want from umchato wabo. I always I enjoy authentic expressions. So I am not one for very dramatic posing and things like that, but I want to capture like the essence of like the emotion, during a day, and try to, I mean, when it's a couple's, session, always try to capture kind of, the relationship and the intimacy and, kind of the
documentary type style.
Yes.
Instead of posed.
Yes. Instead of, so even when I do pose, it's posing to kind of, capture a certain kind of emotion. So I do give direction with that, but for like maybe 80% of the day, it's literally just capturing things as they unfold.
I want us to go a bit back to your upbringing, where you grew up, and if you have any recollection of maybe your first experience with the photography, or the first time
as a child.
You saw a photo and you thought, okay, abantu ababambi plants, and you thought, okay, maybe I could do this, but I could improve it.
No, not really. It's really not something that I liked or thought I'd be from like as a child. Not at all. In fact, I think
as a child, what were you into?
Books.
What type of books?
Then found a way to I wasn't a very outgoing child. Like I really enjoyed going to the library. So on weekends, I'd go to the library, and I remember at some point, I think it was in high school, it was like Sweet Valley books. I'd go to the library and got my stack of Sweet Valley books, and the weekends you'd find me at home, just reading or doing my homework. So this is what I'd do, is that I would take, like a school, and sometimes you'd have like those books where they'll tell you, okay, like for this chapter you're doing this and this and this, and then here are the exercises, there's exercise 1.2. So I'd sit at home, you'd find me just like doing like all my homework for the next month, so that I could just take my books and leave them eskoleni.
So that explains why you were such a brainiac growing up. I remember, seeing you in high school, and you were one of the top students. So could take 5.
Oh yes! Oh wow!
So I thought this was going to be a doctor or the first black astronaut. What happened?
What happened?
You even went to RA, which is like a secondary UCT.
Look, I think for us, when you think of someone, I guess, who excels academically, you know, automatically slot them or allocate them to engineering, doctors, and all those top professions. But at the end of the day, I guess, well, first of all, life is long.
Let's say top scientific professions, right? Because there's the arts too.
Yes. But the thing is that, like I said, life is long. So right now, this is what I'm doing. But who knows? I could be doing something else in the next 10 or 20 years. There's always an opportunity to, to study and to explore something new. But also, I believe in that. I'm passionate about a lot of things, and for me, I put myself 100% in whatever I do. So I wouldn't, like, I studied economics at school, but I really wasn't passionate about that, and there was no way I was gonna go and pursue that. Even though you
don't like money or how money works. That's not the conversation we had off air, so please don't lie to the people at all.
No, I don't. I enjoy business. I don't think I would have been alive pursuing economics and econometrics personally for me.
Artists are known to be abandaba sensitive, right, about their work. I think of a song that I really like from Erykah Badu, Tyrone, when I think she was performing it for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna test this out. Keep it in mind, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my dude. Are you also sensitive when it comes to people judging your photos?
Well, look, I don't really, I guess there's social media and stuff, but I don't really think that there is like really a big platform for people to like judge, my my work. Am I sensitive about it? I actually don't know. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I don't think I'm overly. I'm always open to learning, and I don't necessarily think that I'm like the best out there. And I know that I've got a lot to learn. So when I put out my work, I don't think, like this is the most, amazing, thing. I think I've captured some great, images and things, but I am aware that I'm a long way away from where I'd ultimately like to be in terms of my work.
So you enjoy weddings, you do a lot of events. In terms of portrait photography, is there someone you'd like to spend maybe half a day with, or few hours of the day taking photos and just engaging that person to a documentary style type of project? You know what? So I do. So what I enjoy most about weddings and events, I really just like the emotions. So I like capturing emotions. So for me, portraiture is kind of almost like it's just on the other side, because you're sitting with a person and you need to tell them, okay, like do this. Whereas I enjoy seeing a moment take place and capturing that moment, seeing an emotion, seeing a feeling, and capturing that. So, I see you also into a lot of other stuff. Well, I think as a family, you've got a blog going, you've got a family Instagram page, and I don't know
clothing,
Songa say too. You guys are into music. Are you planning to take over the country?
We do a lot, ne? And like I said,
you're also a teacher at school because you homeschool your kids.
Teacher at school, yeah.
How many Unatis are there?
So I'm passionate about a lot of things, and I think it's my strength and my weakness at the same time. Strength because I think I don't know, man. I think that I'm able to just accomplish a lot of things. I mean, like you counted, I have a lot of things that I'm actually, involved in. And at the same time, I do think that Ndoba, it might be a weakness for me, because I always wish that I could dedicate maybe like more time to one specific thing, or always feel Ndoba, you know what, if all I was doing was the clothing, we would be further. If all I was doing was the photography, would be, But at the same time, it's all things that I feel like I should be doing, like right now. So, okay, I guess it's just that thing of, trying to, spread myself into all these hats that I wear. But listen, I think also just being a person who wants to be 100% involved in everything that I do, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I need to make sure about everything that I do, I want it to, to look a certain way. But I think so far, there's just really been like so much grace in my life that I'm seeing, and even beyond even beyond my own efforts, I really just, I really just see, I'd say like the hand of God in the things that I do, because I feel like where the things that I'm involved in are not merely just, just from my effort, alone. So I really just see, and it also then just gives me that that confirmation, but you know what, it's stuff that I'm actually called to do, because I actually do see, God's grace covering me in all these areas, and to be able to do all these things well, I think.
Besides the businesses and the ventures that you guys are involved with Unathi Mbonambi, leisure time, downtime, what do you do?
Sure.
When these brats are out of the house.
So I try to I try to take time out. Guys?
No, they're fine.
Are they okay? Okay. So I try as much as possible. I mean, it's quite hectic with abantwana, and especially for young kids, to take time.
You have yourself to blame. So.
But we do try. And I mean, for example, like one thing that we have, done for the past like 10 years is like, once a week we have a date night. So we leave everyone
family
at home.
Date night?
So baby, and we go out. Because when you're raising like young kids, there's hardly any time. It ends up actually just being managing, the family. There's hardly any time to actually just, chat and see what's happening in each other's lives and hearts and things like that. So we do that, and we try to go away, sometimes. I mean, we enjoy going away as a family, but sometimes, we just need time. So and then now by myself as well, I try to do things that refresh, me, that refresh my heart, refresh my soul. So for the past actually for the past 8 years or so, I've been playing netball. So like, once a week, I'll go out, and I know I've literally just got 1 hour where I'm by myself, I'm driving in the car, and I'm just, involved competitively in a sport. That's something that, that refreshes me.
And I saw you dancing. Apparently you're a preacher now. So I saw you doing some, I can't even think of a shop, right?
Put it the way you
and it looked like,
it
looked like you embarrassed Umfundisi, pa. That guy was not too sure. Is he a dancer or just a singer?
No, you're like, he's a singer who's also trying himself out in the dance world. Yes, like we said, life is long. He'll learn.
How is your singing?
My singing is
be honest with us.
It's decent. Like, we're in a band, we're in a choir, so I can hold a note. I can, So I've been like it ever since I was in the university choir. Actually, do you know that the very first and second Will Worship I was a part of?
You were part of?
The very first and second Will Worship. So
you were part of what?
I was singing.
You're not the lady that's driving the car. Which album is that? No.
That was the first recorded one. But we actually had a concert like in 2006, the very first Will Worship in 2006. And then in 2008, I think. And then we only recorded in like 2010, 2011.
My 2-year-old daughter is a big fan.
Really?
Come Holy Spirit.
Oh,
So let's test your singing. Please sing
What?
a song
No.
So you were
Let's
lying.
concentrate on the photography. Come, let me take a photo of you.
Preaching. What were you preaching about?
You preaching. Okay, so I'm not like a pastor or anything, right? But I'm a Christian. I'm a pursuer of Christ. I believe in in God. So they asked me to share. So they were doing like a series on like workplace, and I guess how God kind of fits into the whole workplace, and kind of to share about values that have kind of helped me to balance out balance between family and work. And so that was kind of what I was sharing my journey on the family and work balance as it is. And like I said earlier on, Toba, so for me, one of the decisions that I made like early on before we even got married was that I'm an ambitious person, and I love working, as you can see with all the things that I'm involved in. But I knew that for me, when I started having children, I wanted to spend a lot of time, and that every day the same, at like early in the morning and coming back at like 5-6 was not going to work for me. So I didn't want like that for myself. So I decided, I'd rather run a business from home so that I can have the kind of life that I'd like to have with my children. So that was something that was really important for me. So okay, that was one of those decisions. And so I was sharing just about the implications of that, so obviously that meant living like on one salary, and at that point my husband was like campus minister, which wasn't like a lot of money at all. So having to be okay with the lifestyle, for example, that came with that decision, because it meant while my friends in University were like flourishing and buying new cars and houses and stuff like that, we had to be okay with the lifestyle that that small one salary could afford us, because we made the decision for me to be at home. So things like that.
I see you're very family centered. Everything you talk about keeps going back to family. And I was just telling you before the recording that the other two people that I had interviewed, they were guys, right? And they had this rule, but no kids on social media. But with you, it's just your family. How do you guys approach that? Did you discuss it, or why is it so important for you to put your family out there?
So man, yeah, I guess I do. I guess respect about that don't want to put their family out on on social media. For us, it was a decision that we actually wanted to portray our family life like on social media, because first of all, so we wanted to kind of impact and influence family culture. Like already when you go into like just popular media, it's actually hard to find good images of black families. So we wanted to we just wanted to have an influence in that space, to say, hey man, this is what
we are the modern day Bill Cosby. We don't want to find out scandals after 20 years, eh?
It's okay. Hey, people are not perfect, but look.
And
hopefully not.
How's the homeschool thing going? Because I remember I had seen you were talking on some Facebook group, and the challenges you guys were having. I think the government wanted to change something last year or 2 years back.
Oh yes.
What was that issue about? And how do you go about doing it? I mean, it's something I would love to do, because I don't think a curriculum that is out there is serving what I want my kid to know, right? So how do you approach it? What curriculum are you using? Using Oxford? Are you using Cambridge? Do we have an African curriculum? Are you using American? Are you using Chinese?
So there's so many different approaches to the homeschooling thing, right? Is that and people, you only understand it when you get into it, is that there are so many different approaches. So there are people who take, for example, the CAPS curriculum and just do that like at home, down to people who school, meaning like, you know, there is no specific program. We kind of somewhere like, you know, in the middle. So it's called like an eclectic approach, where I use a lot of, I use some curriculums, and I use books, and I use a lot of resources to kind of facilitate the things that I think that I'd like our children to learn. But so the most important thing is kind of for me is to create experiences for the children, so that they're not just learning is not. I mean, books are very important to read, but also if you think of yourself now, you remember things that are around experiences. You know, if you touch something and you feel it and you see it, you'll remember it more than, you know, just reading something from a book. So we try to, like, you know, add, you know, experience, and also just to make learning fun. Because honestly, I don't remember what I learned in primary school, except that I know now I can write, I can read, I can, you know, which was very important. But all the subjects that I didn't, I don't remember the stuff that I learned. Like even in high school, some of the stuff I'm just like, I don't. So I really just wanted for our kids to have a different experience, and to really just help them to love learning, and also to help them pursue izinto that they want to pursue from a young age. I think one of the most important things for me is to be able to help the children to discover and to explore the things that they like and the things that they're good at from a young age. So as opposed to, you know, us just only exploring izinto after matric or after university. So for example, my daughter, she's like an artist, she's a creative. She loves everything, you know, fashion, photography, music, and all that kind of stuff. And it's stuff that we want to cultivate, like Ngoku at a young age. She doesn't have to wait until she's matriculated or until she's gone to university to say, okay, now you can start pursuing this. You know, we want to give her a space to explore those things now. So even in my son, he's got a very like engineering, like, you know, mind. He's like always building things, you know, every day. And so as opposed to concentrating on a bit of everything, we want to zoom in and focus on the things that he's good at, so that even by the time he's matriculated or, you know, or gone out of varsity, he's actually had a chance to pursue his interests and likes.
So the family empire is safe in these hands, right? Because I could hear the eldest of them all, the girl, can also sing.
Yes.
So Rule Worship is going to continue. Unathi Mbonambi photography is going to continue. Isonga Setu is going to continue. The education part of it is going to continue. Are you teaching them robotics? Are you preparing them for the 4IR?
So we are. And like I said, the one person that has like a lot of interest in those things is my son. But I mean, we need to prepare everyone, you know, for for the future. Yeah.
I'm going to throw a couple of terms at you, right? You must give me your take.
Okay. My personal take.
Your personal take. Disclaimer, the views shared are of Unathi, not mine. What's your take on alcohol and Christians? Alcohol consumption.
Look, I think like it's okay for Christians to consume, you know, alcohol, moderate amounts of, you know, alcohol, but as long as it doesn't, like, it's not a crutch, or, you know, becomes like a habit where, you know, like you need alcohol. So I think a lot of the times we actually, I think with anything that you do, you actually need to question yourself and about why are you doing this. So if it comes to a place where you just like, I am not confidence when I'm not drinking, or, you know, I don't know, but yeah, I just
this fellowship, I guess that's informed by Christ making wine at the wedding, right?
Right. So yeah, I really think that like everything in moderation is maybe not everything, but but yeah, something alcohol in moderation is okay, I think.
Mirrorless cameras.
Well, they're clearly the future now, right? Because everyone is, you know, is going into mirrorless. So I think it's becoming a a film versus digital, you know, thing that, you know, even if you are not at some point you'll end up. I mean, you'll end up going into mirrorless. So yeah.
I mean, one of the things that these guys always raise on these social media platforms, YouTube, they always talk about your 5Ds. I know you're using a 6D. Those cameras being heavy. Have you ever been on a gig and felt like, yo, inzima le 6D, I wish I had a small mirrorless camera?
You know what? Okay, no, I haven't necessarily used the mirrorless camera, but like I doubt it would make that much. So the lenses are heavy. So for me, I think my lens is probably as heavy as my camera. So it's more the lens that's heavy than than the camera itself.
But have you had such instances or situations where you felt like inzima le camera, I wish I had a lighter camera or a lighter lens?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And I mean, being a wedding photographer, I'm there for like 10 to 12 hours, you know. So at the end of each day, like my back, you know, is killing me. I'm not getting any younger, but yeah, definitely carrying around it, you know, the whole day is quite. So I really don't know. I mean, I'm yet to see in Dubai if it would really make much of a difference.
Think carefully about this one. What's your take on "We will worship"?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What is my take on "We will worship"?
Exactly what I'm asking.
I think it's an amazing ministry that is. Look, yeah, I really enjoy "We will worship" and what it's about, and really it's about like creating a movement or calling people out to, you know, to worship God, and I mean the slogan is, you know, with everything and everything, that with everything that you put your hands to, in everything, you know, that you do, and with all our hearts and all our talents and all our, you know, with our thoughts and everything, to worship God, because you know, that is literally like the greatest commandment that Jesus said, you know, that worship God with everything, with all your mind, with all your heart. So it is that getting us to a culture where, with the things that you do with your hands, when you're at the office, the whole, you know, like it's worship. Raising your children, you know, looking at it with that lens, and about, you know what, this is worship, and to, you know, the way that you relate, you know, with people, you know, in relationships and everything, just using everything that you're doing to ultimately like just glorify God.
Your favorite "We will worship" song? Sing it for us.
I can't
Sing it for us.
I can't.
Let's sign out on a musical.
People are gonna judge me. No, guys, no.
So you are an artist. True artist.
It's hard to say because I love.
Which song came to mind when I said favorite?
Okay, so at the moment, from the latest album, it's Tula.
A message to someone who looks up to Unathi Mbonambi and her artwork.
Go after your passions. You know, go after the things that you are passionate about. You know, God puts certain passions and desires in your heart for a reason. You know, so go after those things. Just pursue them.